After studying about the structure of DNA, its base, and the importance as a genetic material, let us understand about the first process of creation of DNA molecules from a single one. This process is called replication of DNA. As said earlier, DNA replication can be defined as the synthesis of new DNA molecule with the help of which or from pre-existing DNA molecule. Such a process or mechanism with the help of which the new DNA molecule is synthesized from the pre-existing one is called DNA replication. So such a process by which the two such molecules of DNA are formed from the original DNA molecule, it can be termed as DNA replication. Such a DNA replication process is done by the DNA itself. With the help of few enzymes which we will study later in the mechanism part. Now, as said earlier that the amount of DNA from generation to generation within the organism of same species remains the same. But if from a parent DNA, two molecules of DNA molecule are generated, that is from each one, and this process moves on continuously, then how does the amount of genetic material remains constant within the all organisms of the same species? It is carried out, that is DNA replication is basically carried out with the help of cell division, or we can say duplication of DNA molecule that converts into two. At the beginning of DNA replication, the DNA molecule which is going to replicate increases in size and its amount of composition. This composition refers to the nitrogenous bases, then phosphate molecule and sugar, which we've already studied in the structure of DNA molecule. Since its amount and size increases, therefore after division, that is cell division, which makes it two DNA molecules, that is generates two DNA molecules from a single one, the amount or the size that was present initially in the first DNA molecule gets divided equally into two after getting increased in size, and therefore during the previous DNA molecule, that is the amount which was present in the previous one remains the same between the two DNA molecules, and therefore in this manner the amount of composition or the size remains the same in the DNA molecules that are obtained by the cell duplication or division. As said earlier, Watson and Crick scientists named Watson and Crick suggested the DNA replication process, that is the replication process that was carried out by DNA, in which self-duplication of DNA molecule occurs. Thus, the constituents, that is nitrogen bases, sugar molecule and phosphate, are synthesized within the nucleus, which pair up to form nucleotides and thereby new DNA. Thus, on the basis of this, it was concluded that the two strands of a single DNA, that is the double-stranded DNA molecule, after getting separated into two individual strands, would act as template for the synthesis of a new complementary strand. After the completion of replication, each DNA molecule would have one parental and newly synthesized strand. That is, after undergoing DNA replication, or we can say cell division or self-duplication process, each DNA molecule which got separated into two strands from which the replication occurred or the replica was formed, such a DNA molecule is known as parent DNA molecule that contains parental chains synthesized new DNA molecules, that is newly synthesized strands. Thus, this method of DNA replication of forming a synthesized strand or newly synthesized strand from a parental DNA molecule was termed as semi-conservative DNA replication. Which was suggested by the scientists Watson and Crick. This figure depicts the semi-conservative model, that is Watson and Crick model for semi-conservative DNA replication. As it can be seen from the figure, this parental DNA molecule gets separated into two strands which further synthesize new strands and forms new DNA molecule. And this figure describes the semi-conservative method of DNA replication, that is a parental DNA molecule converting into two template chains, that is two individual strands, and later on forms the daughter molecules by synthesizing new strands, that is complementary to the other.